Hey, so in that little series I've been putting out for bad reasons why people don't apply for Social Security disability when they could and should, and how it's often based on misinformation. A wonderful um, uh, one of you guys out there brought up to me the fact that veterans often who are receiving um, disability benefits through the VA don't file for SSD. So let's make this number 10 on that list because I didn't include it and I apologize. So we put through 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the first one, we have the whole list of the first 9. So this is adding a 10th bad reason. The truth of the matter is, apparently, that a lot of veterans who are disabled, service connected, and receiving disability through the VA are on the misconception that they can't also get Social Security disability. And that's not, it's not true, first of all, which is ACEs. Um, and, but I can understand why they might have thought that, because if it is not service connected and they're getting the kind of disability from the VA that is for indigent veterans with non-service connected disabilities, because that's a need-based program. That's like the SSI, but it's for veterans. It's a needs-based program, so every dollar they would get from SSD would offset that. So that might be why they don't file, or they think that they can't because you can't get the VA. If you're getting a certain amount from the VA for that part of it, the non-service connected benefit, versus the other kind, they may have heard, well, then you can't get both because it's going to count against your VA benefit. That would be true, but that's not service connected rated disability, in which case you can get both. All right, so you got to know that. That's super, super important. I have other videos for veterans, and I'll just mention the one about don't make the assumption, because it's very, very false, that if you're VA 100% disabled, you will be found disabled by the SSA. It's not true, and there are reasons for it. They are actually sound, whether you like them or not. So go check that out. I'll try to link it. But going back to applying for SSD, if you are disabled, whether or not you're collecting service-connected benefits from the VA, I would do it because you can, because it's not, it's not going to offset anything. But also remember, and I have comments about this in so many videos because it's kind of a little tangential thing. And of course, it would happen to also be perhaps in one of the retirements. I'm not sure. But if you don't file for SSD and you do stop working and you're, a young or even a middle-aged vet, you stop working because you're getting your VA benefits and you don't think you can get the other ones as well. When you're not working and you run every year that you're not working, you're making 0 SSD credits and contributing 0 to the SS system, unlike when you were working or serving. And what happens is, okay, so I'm going to try to say this quick. So like, when they're figuring out your retirement benefit, they're going to take the top 35 years of income that you've made where you paid Social Security taxes, right? And if you stop at, say, 35 due to a veteran-related disability, service-connected, you are only going to have a small portion of that 35 years in the calculation that they use, and all the rest of your years of non-working are going to count as zeros. So when that's all averaged, guess what? They find out your average monthly income from all those months in 35 years. What happens when half of those are zeros? Your average monthly earnings there splits in half, right? So now, because they take that average monthly lifetime earnings that you have and they use it in the calculation, I'm just going to put it in a simple way, like they put a percentage on it, and that's what you're going to get for your benefit when you retire, because that's going to be your primary insurance amount. That is going to decimate your retirement. Decimate. It's just a matter of numbers. You add all those zeros in, that's what's going to happen. So if you had like a 4,800 average earnings while you're working, that's not going to be, you're going to be splitting that in half potentially when you spread that out over the rest of the years to say 2,400. So now let's say you get 30% of 2,400. Wow. You get like what would that be? $800 benefit. Woo. Whereas if you had a 4,800, maybe you'd be getting a $2,400 benefit. And I'm just pulling those numbers out of my butt because I actually don't know what the numbers would be for that particular, but because you now decimated your average lifetime earnings, you therefore decimate your retirement, your primary insurance amount. So if you can prove you are disabled under the SSA rules, and I really recommend you get a representative for this, guys, everybody. I mean, I live the mantra. I'm very biased on it, obviously. But if you prove you're disabled, all those zeros from you not working, or let's say you're working something very puny, would no longer count. They're not going to be used in the calculation because now you have a cutoff date. No, I was disabled then. So those don't count to bring down my average monthly earnings. It's only going to be these. Okay. That's got to apply. Don't delay. And also remember that you have a date last insured. When you stopped working, assuming you're working to the hilt for years before that, the maximum amount of time you have is 5 years of that term. And sometimes it's less if you had some off years where there was no work, or there was less than, right now it'd be like 6,560. You wouldn't get all 4 credits. So you're going to end up running out of the Social Security disability insured status if you're not working at least a part-time that suffices to buy all the credits, and we have videos on that. And what that will mean is you will only have one bite to apply. If your DLI has passed, date last insured, you can still file for Social Security disability, but you better hope that your evidence from that past period that closed already is really, really strong and robust. Because if it's not, you're going to get denied, right? So if you file sooner, while you still have a prospective window in front of you, you can take lawyers' advice about what kind of evidence to develop. They can walk you through it. I do that with all of my people. I nag them. It's what you need to get to make your strongest case. So if you don't, if the window is in the past, what the DLI means is that all the evidence used to prove your case has to be within this window that already passed. You can't go to the doctor today to prove that you were disabled 3 years ago, right? You will actually still have to go to the doctor and start going robustly, so that if you had gone before and then they do find that you are disabled, they have to find that it continued through to the present. So by and large, so you have to have it from the time, really robust evidence from the time you claim to be disabled. Or at any time in your insured window that closes. Your date last insured is the last day. And by the way, you can find that date last insured if you need to right now by calling 1-800-772-1213. I always suggest everybody do that. And you also, while I'm at it, should download your Social Security annual earnings statement. You can go to ssa.gov/my account, and you connect yourself with your own account with the SSA, and you download that annual earnings statement. I'm not sure what they call it. It might just be earnings statement or annual earnings statement. And I say to do that now because if you apply, one piece of it is going to be missing later. It has a part right now, if you haven't applied, that tells you what you can expect a disability benefit to be should you prevail. And it'll also give you retirement numbers and stuff like that. But once you file, they somehow pull back on that information and you don't get that piece of that report. You will still get your earnings history, which is very important for a multitude of reasons that are not really important here. But download that so that if your attorney that you retain wants it, if they are like me, they're going to want it. And they're going to want that DLI too, the one that you get from the 1-800 number, DLI. That's a menu-driven phone number. It's very annoying. I suggest you plug your phone in, put it on speaker, and go about your day while you're waiting for a live body. You have to press a few number things, and then you have to wait, usually. But when you get someone live, just, identify yourself, tell them that you want to have your date last insured for Social Security disability, DLI, date last insured, and they will give it to you. So write it down, and then, go get some professional representation. And, if you need me to eval your case, I'm happy to do it. I am a strong supporter of our veterans, and I thank you all for your service. I come from a family of veterans myself. So I personally am not one. I don't have that honor, but I love you guys for what you do. Anyway, okay. I hope that clears up. You can apply and you must apply. If for no other reason, you want more money now. Who doesn't? You deserve it. You earned it. You paid for it. Let's make that clear too. SSD is not a handout. You actually bought the insurance for that. You paid with every paycheck. Literally paid. You can go look at them and you can see how much you paid. So you definitely want to go collect on that, just like you would if you cracked up your car and needed to get fixed and you had collision. All right. All right. Ciao, guys. Ah, that